We are going live. We are going live. Thank you once again. It's me, your girl, Silizo Mudimokhale. I am back once again on today's episode on making coaching fashionable. It is my favorite topic because most people are still not yet sure of how coaching can help them. So I hope today, as I'm waiting for my guest to join me, we will be able to unpack how coaching can assist you at work and how can it helps, especially those who are employed at workplace. How can you align your employee expectations with coaching? So I'm waiting for Zianda Mazamisa, who will be joining me shortly. She is still trying to connect. She has a very slow network. I don't want to start late. As you know, I'm very pedantic when it comes to time. I am excited about this evening. I am going to enjoy this moment because it is our time to talk about making coaching fashionable at the workplace. So, what questions do you have? Do you have a coach? Do you have someone who can support you in your journey? Do you have someone who is helping you navigate your career life, navigate your life, and assist you with keeping you accountable? One thing that I know for sure is that people are always scared to be kept accountable. I do not know why, because at the end of the day, when we try to do it on our own, we sometimes give in very quickly. But when we have somebody who is keeping us accountable, we tend to achieve more. Earlier this year, I've started a group called Self Discipline. And in the self discipline group, we are keeping each other accountable. We are able to work with one another by sharing our goals, weekly goals, stemming from our big goals that we would have set in a month, and then we break them down on a weekly basis. Then on Tuesday, we look at skills that we need to acquire. We sometimes reflect on our abilities, what are the things that we are good at. On other days, we share books that we can learn from. On other days, we are networking to meet one another to get to see how can we collaborate and what can we learn from one another. And then on a Friday, we do progress review. So by so doing, we are creating a new habit that will assist us in actually becoming better with what we do. I'm excited that my guest is here. She has joined us finally. Hey Z, how are you?
Hi guys, technology,
Welcome,
technology.
welcome, welcome. I was already like, I'm not gonna start late. I'm gonna keep them going, but I have started on a good note. I've already shared more about how coaching is beneficial, especially to keep you accountable.
Yeah.
So, Z, it is such a pleasure. I know that you are busy, my friend. I know that sometimes getting hold of you is not that easy, but to avail yourself for this moment, we are very
Thank
grateful
you
that you
guys.
are we are really grateful that you are here. Just to let you know that we are streaming this live on our socials. We are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. We shall share with you all the
Wow.
links, and we have tagged you as well in all the platforms. Hopefully,
Okay.
it will also reflect on your wall. Thank you so much. Okay, let us start. I'm going to read your profile, which
Ooh.
was okay. We need to summarize this big profile here. So, just to tell you guys who Zianda is, she is a renowned executive coach, a multiplier coach, which she will tell us a little bit about because what is this multiplier? Um, known for her expertise in development leadership as a founder of Zianda M and Associate, a professional service organization that focuses on optimizing the human aspect of businesses, and she assists company in becoming more adept to navigating the complexities of their workforce. force. You know, when you work with staff, guys, it's not an easy thing. Most
Yeah.
leaders, in fact, they fail dismally in becoming great leaders. And they always say people leave not because of the organization, but because of the leaders that they are reporting to. So now, this
Yeah.
is your girl, this is the lady who can assist you in building your leadership skills and to identify the style of leadership that suits you and to become an authentic leader. So please let us give a warm welcome to Zianda. Hello. How was
Lovely.
your day? How was your day? Let us
Oh,
start with a quick check-in.
so as we were talking on my way here home, I was like, oh my God, Kanene, oh, Puse is like technologically advanced, and so I'm gonna have to find my feet. But funny enough, as I was driving home, right, and I was thinking about this session and authenticity. Even apart from being a leader, P, about just being authentic as a human being. So I
Mm,
was reminded as I was thinking about our session that there's a person I said to, I am, in terms of authenticity, I am, sorry, I'm a sincere person who is also reliable, right?
mhm,
So I said, I know that it's so rare to find people like me. But I thought,
mhm.
no, I cannot leave it at that because they're going to think, yo, you are too much in your head. Is that ego talking? Then I had to say, what I mean is, I am sincere. So as I was struggling to connect now, I was like, I am going to be reliable. I'm going to be reliable. I'm going to be reliable. Because that's how you make a value look like in behavior. It's
Yes.
when everything comes against it and you say, I'm going to hold on to the value. And then that's how you can see it in your behavior. So I was
Mhm.
reminded, so the universe would help me actually anchor one of my values for the session itself, anyways. So I was like, that's a nice one. That's a nice one.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
definitely. And I always find that we are tested in the very thing that we teach others. Have you realized that?
My friend, I've been, as you know, I'm also a facilitator, right? So if I'm going
Mm,
to talk about resilience, if I'm teaching about resilience,
mm,
I've found that on that
mm.
particular morning, my resilience is going to be tested. Something is not
Will
going
be
to work, the
tested.
network is not going to connect, something is going to happen to test whether or not what I'm teaching is authentically
Uh-huh.
true for me first, before I can teach it for
Mm-hmm.
people. Don't know. We go through what we teach, yeah.
No, we definitely go through what we teach. In our topic of making coaching fashionable at the workplace,
Mm.
there is one specific area I would like us to zoom at, which is the aligning of employee expectations. What does that mean to
Mm.
align employee expectations when it comes to coaching?
P, that's very broad as far as I'm concerned, right? So
Mhm.
let me start by saying, guys, that nothing about life is linear.
Yeah.
Yes, we come from backgrounds that have taught us that things are linear. Nothing is linear if you can look
Mhm.
at things for what they are. So,
Yes.
expectations of employees is a multifaceted type of a theme to explore, right? So,
Mm.
for me, the first one is there is this employee who applied for this particular role they are in, right?
Yes.
And they applied because they knew maybe 60% of my capabilities match the spec, the job spec.
Yeah. Mm.
60,
Mm.
70% maybe matches it, right? But they were very
Mm.
aware that 40% does not match it.
That's not.
That's why
Mm.
they want it, because they want to
Mm.
grow.
Mm.
So, Mr. and Miss Employer, I'm going to come and give you my already prepared 60, but
Mhm.
please help me close the gap for 40.
Mm.
So, that's an expectation already.
Yeah.
So by the time we do psychometric assessments, we shouldn't be doing them punitively. So that I keep in mind that this person will have a gap. That's why I
Mhm.
must allow them in this role so I can keep them
Mm.
longer as I'm teaching them to close the gap. So that
Mhm.
for me is the first one that we must look at. Yet, as managers, we punish people for
Yes,
having
we do.
40% gap,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I find very weird.
No, it is very weird. But do you know why do companies do that?
Yeah.
Why is it that companies are looking for 100%, not 60% when you are applying? What is the main reason behind that?
I think that comes from, yes, we are here to achieve. Yes, we are here to have the outputs that we want for the organization from a revenue perspective. We get that, but how is you as a company expecting 100% from me when you
Mm-hmm.
know naturally it doesn't exist?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see, so
Yeah.
100% doesn't exist in humanity at large. Like, what's
Yeah,
going on?
we
So
want
now we play. It doesn't
superhuman.
exist.
We want people who are 120 actually.
Where have you ever seen it? So where has the manager ever seen 100% and 110?
Yeah.
So the manager themselves, in my view, the reason why they have a team that reports to them with different expertise is precisely because they don't know all of that stuff. That's why those roles
Mm,
must report to them because they fit into their function, which
yeah.
implies you yourself, manager, aren't 100%. So why are you expecting it from me?
Yeah. And I've noticed what
So
you're
yeah.
saying is very, very crucial because even us as employers, we are not even aware that we ourselves are sitting on a 60. And we
Huh.
employ people whom we want them to be at 100. And we don't have mercy to capacitate them to get to the destination. We both travel the
Yeah.
journey together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's very sad, especially when you have been appointed in an organization, but you end up actually doing the work of your manager because your manager is incompetent.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it
And which
happens
is to
all
be
the time.
expected, P, because I always say whenever you get
Mm,
promoted to your level of incompetence.
mm,
So you are a specialist HR and now you are an HR manager. You for sure have a
mm,
40% gap because you just entered that function. So therefore you need
mm,
years to acquire that new skill, though you have some skill. So what
mm,
makes us play the games that are toxic in organizations is because by virtue of being called manager, I think I'm a
mm.
god in this department. I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm
yeah.
not. So check yourself. You're not.
Power.
That yeah, you see, that's why you have the roles reporting to you that you need to coach on how to fit into your function.
Yeah. You know, as we talk about alignment, I couldn't help but to look at your nails.
Alignment. And we haven't seen each other in a long time, eh? I
I'm
love it.
like,
I love it.
okay, okay.
We
No,
are
we
doing
love
the
the
sun
same thing.
today.
No, we love the same things. So, talking about the employment, and let's look at the initiatives that help align employees' personal goals with organizational objectives. What
Hmm.
could you say? How can coaching initiate that?
Yeah. So in my experience, P, when it comes to these are the nuts and bolts now of how do
Mm,
we perform and how do we perform optimally all the time or consistently, right? So what I've realized, both from the manager side and from the employee side, often what
mhm.
affects us achieving is lack of clarity. And
It is.
so I would say the first thing to do is, and as an agile practitioner, ex agile practitioner, I know this is what a lot of managers struggle with, cascading
Yeah.
the strategy down to practical objectives, smart objectives that are
Mm,
in alignment with the key performance areas. So when I have the KPI, which is the key performance area, which helps the manager know how to measure me, then I need the manager to attach an objective to the KPI. So KPI is what I must do, objective is how I must do it. You
yeah.
see? So that I know when it comes to review time, I already understand how you're gonna measure me and on what you're gonna measure me. So what
Yeah.
causes a lot of discord is when the line manager does not have the competency or their capability to water down their organizational strategy, to departmental strategy, to team strategy, to my function, so that I know what it is that you expect of me, so that I may tell you, manager, where I might be having gaps that I need your support on. Not only
Yeah.
that, where coaching as a manager gets involved is on that 40% we've made an example about. Because now, once my KPIs are clear, once my objectives are in alignment with each KPI, now I've got an action plan of what to do in this next quarter, next 6 months, next 12 months. Now I know
Yeah.
whenever you knock on my door for a one on one conversation, you are coming to check for output as my manager. So
That's
now it
true.
makes our conversations very concise because I know you're coming for output, right? And
Definitely.
your opportunity lies there as a manager to coach me in areas where you can see I misunderstood, I don't understand, I need to grow,
Mm,
I need to be helped. Then
mm,
coaching gets in there.
mm. One thing, as you are speaking, and I have noticed that we are missing to use it as to our advantage as employees, is to be authentic and real about our challenges.
Absolutely.
Most of the time, we
Absolutely.
hide to share where we are lacking or where we
Yeah.
are not strong, and then we want to give an impression that we are coping, but
Mm.
now only to find that we are struggling. And
Yeah.
what you are sharing about personal development plan, and also that aligns with my performance scorecard, is key because people are dreading to go through the performance appraisal. Every
Yeah.
time when it's that time, you find that there's war because it's
It's not
attached to
nice.
salaries. And the
Yeah.
only problem I always find is when performance appraisals are only used for salary benefits, whereby they are not used for growth strategy. How can
Exactly.
coaching assist with that?
So for me, P, I would advise managers. One, the 360 feedback surveys you do, they give you an idea of how I'm doing as an employee, right?
Yeah.
Two, the KPIs, objectives that you've set for my, you must remember you are setting these things for my role. The role I'm in is supposed to give this output. Forget about the human being, the role I'm in, right? So if as a manager you have
Mm,
your finger on the pulse, where on a monthly basis, on a bi-weekly basis, on a weekly basis, whatever is relevant depending on your industry, you keep on checking how I'm doing because you want to know if I'm actually going the right direction. It helps you to see whether I'm missing the point or not. But you find a lot of managers
mm,
saying, you are employed to do the job, just do the job, leave me alone. No. Managing a talent is exactly that. Is having the finger on the
mm,
pulse to say, because people you'll find that they are so busy the entire day, but they're not busy with their own objectives. Now I was helping so and so, now
mm,
I was doing that, but it has nothing to do with your function and the priorities of
mm,
your function. And so I feel
mm.
like the miscommunication causes the erosion as well, right? Then,
Yeah.
secondary to that, because I'm Zianda who's employed in this function as a full adult, I also know that I am not good with numbers. I am not good with formula on a spreadsheet. I know it. It's my gap,
Mm-hmm,
right? It therefore means
mm-hmm,
it's my responsibility, to your point, to inform the line manager of what my gaps are
mm,
so
mm.
that they know which tasks I'm going to be slow with, I'm going to have a higher error rate on, and all of those great things. Because there lies an opportunity for them to train me on a new skill set or knowledge.
Most
So can you
definitely.
see it's a two-way thing, but it depends a lot on a coaching manager. If the manager is
Yeah.
aloof, if the manager is toxic, if the manager is disrespectful and rude, it becomes difficult for the team members to trust that they can learn safely and honestly in them.
Yeah.
So can you
Yeah.
see? So that's where coaching comes in, to be an openly coaching manager, knowing very well that everyone comes bringing 40% gap, just like you bring 40% gap that you need your own manager to help you with.
Mm-hmm. See, you won't believe that I forgot my laptop charger. I'm looking for it everywhere, and the battery
I
is
can see
about
you
to
distracted.
die. So I'm going to ask you, should it kick me out? Can you share what you think is important for people to know, especially around coaching and how it can benefit them, especially at workplace? I'm
Okay.
going to share with you the question that Matsepo has asked here. Are you able to read it as I'm sorting myself to see if I can log in
How do I
with my
converse?
phone?
Okay, so I can see it. Do I kick you out? You know me, I'm gonna take time to know what to do, where to do it. Let me just see. How do I kick you out,
No,
dude?
no, no, you don't kick me out. Don't worry. I'll sort myself. Well, continue. Just
Okay, cool.
continue. I'm trying to
I
log
will,
in
I
using my
will.
phone.
But I'm
Mhm.
not seeing anyone who's here, but I hope I'll just read the comments, then it's fine.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
my
no, no one is here. You
tempo,
just see the question is on the screen.
no worries. So she says, Sissy, how do I converse with my employer to take my gaps seriously? I love this question. I've had things like this is not a higher learning institute. This happens when you are a support structure. So, sure. If now that I know what I know now, Matsepone, I hope you can hear me. Just give me a yes if you can hear me, okay? Now that I know what I know now, I also needed at some point to let my employer know that they have a responsibility to assist me to close the gaps I'm agreeing I have. Okay? So, one, if you miss it out in exploring it in an interview session, thank you, Matsepo. If you've missed it in the interview session to say, okay, guys, I know 80% of this, 20% is my learning area. I'm looking forward to learning with you. If you've missed it in that conversation, it therefore means that in your one-on-one conversations with your line manager, now that you've got your job description, you've got the goal set, the scorecard that Puselezo was referring to. Maybe they've crafted your KPIs, you've got your objectives, you know what is expected of the role you occupy. You then say to them, here are the areas where I need development. I am working on water on 8 out of 10, but I've got two that needs development for me to be a fully fledged employee who is contributing fully in this function. And then just try and research. I can go study this at that university. HR is offering this training, or I can be mentored by so and so, or I'm willing to learn on the job on this particular skill or knowledge, but I don't have it. So let me give you an example. By the time I left corporate, I had already told my bosses who cared to listen that don't give me spreadsheet with numbers. Don't even ask me to create a formula in a spreadsheet. I know none of that. However, give me any document with words. I will analyze, synthesize. Not only that, I will contribute to present and convince an audience to whatever it is that we've written in words, but not in numbers. That's just my brain capacity. So if you want me to, it's important for me to know this information that involves numbers, it means you're gonna have to train me. Now, you need to have these conversations recorded in your one on ones, okay? Have them recorded. If your employer or your manager is refusing to record them, no worries. Once you're done in your one on one meeting with your line manager, go back to your desk and say, hi, Zianda, as per our, I thank you very much for the meeting we've had on this particular date at this time. As per our conversation, we have concluded that the areas I need development on are A, B, C, and D. And therefore, I am in need of your coaching or your mentorship or your training in this and that areas, period. So that way, I'm just trying. Pusia, would you please mute yourself? Okay, she's still struggling here. So in that way, the laws or the policies or the labor laws, Matsepo, work with evidence. Okay, you need to have shown that you were keen to be assisted, you volunteered to be assisted, and someone refused to assist you. Okay, so that's
Hi
what I
Z.
think you can do, and you can do it almost immediately. Let me know if it makes sense. Just give me another comment. Just to let me know if it makes sense. But Matepo, you're gonna have to be bold enough, to be courageous enough to stand in the gap for yourself. That's what this requires.
mm, mm. Z, I just want to check if you can hear me. I'm
I
trying
can.
to get you back on screen. Using the phone is not that easy, but as we go along, because the laptop is totally dead now, I apologize for that. I just want to maybe assist us in understanding the role that you play as you. When we were reading your profile, we spoke about you being the HR manager or HR specialist.
Yeah.
When you employ people at workplace, what kind of skills assessment do you check, or how do you go about incorporating that interviewing with coaching?
Ooh, so it's an interesting one, P, because I don't think a lot of employers um are that jacked up yet. They are so like they're still backwards, you know. So the
Mm,
assessments
mm,
that so I call myself an HR practitioner. I no longer practice fully, but I do from time to time. And I was a very
mhm,
great recruiter, I must say. So for me, how we assessed, and my last employer was Vodacom. The last time I worked for corporates in the ICT space, and what we did was we used competency based interviewing. That's the first
mhm,
one. That's
mm,
where you get an opportunity to be asked open-ended questions, right? Where
mhm,
you have freedom to give examples of how you show up in a particular situation, because we want to have a sense of your behavioral patterns, so to speak, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
then you would also have a business case to do, which then touches on your technical know-how. So
mhm,
we would always give you a case study where our team members have gone through it already. Because we want to see, if, had you been part of that team, how would you have applied your mind? So it's a real life
mhm,
issue, but it's already resolved or it's already
mhm,
achieved, right? That then gives
mhm,
us your technical know how. That's another a layer of assessments.
mhm,
Thereafter, P, it becomes those second and third interviews where we are testing for energy alignment, if so to speak. Or are your values our values? Or is your line manager and you, are you gonna, that feel, that energy alignment, that feel, do I feel like I can
mhm,
lead the other? Do I feel like we can work well together, you know? Those are the second and third interviews, right?
mhm,
And if you get to the third one and you meet a very senior person, that senior person is now wanting to see you in the potential future. So
mm,
they are no
mm,
longer watching you or asking you question that pertains to the current role. They will
mhm,
use it as a springboard, but they want to see Ziana is applying for specialist IT. What would happen if I made her as a chief technological officer? Right.
mhm,
So how would
mhm.
she operate at that level? Does she have potential to be at that? Who's disturbing you there? Does she have potential?
There are people
Does
just talking here. I need them to move.
I
I
can
hope
see
they
with
don't
your
disturb
eyes.
you. Yeah, I'm
I can
like,
see with your eyes. So so I would say to people, first interview is people who are trying to align what you've written on your CV with you. So the
mhm,
document is spoken on your behalf, who's brought you here. We want to hear what you've written and want to see examples of what you've written down. That's the first interview. The second
mhm,
interview is now saying, okay, we've met five, top two. Now we are comparing you two to the role
mhm,
on the second
mhm,
interview. The third
mm,
interview, if you meet a very senior person, they are wanting to project, to kind of foresee if you were part of
mhm.
this organization, where else can I place you apart from the role you're in?
Ah,
You see.
lovely,
So those
lovely.
three are the first ones. And then if you win all those three because you've impressed them, and remember, in order for you to do well in interviews, guys, you have got to know yourself. You've got
Yeah.
to know yourself. So gone are the
Mm,
days where you are just gonna reiterate what is on the CV. Please bring
mhm.
with you something about yourself that is a superpower that you can write down,
Yeah.
that you can only articulate with words, that's gonna make us remember you once you've
Yes.
left,
What
you
makes
know?
you stand out? Mm,
Absolutely. So
mm,
what is your value proposition? What sets you apart? That's what will make me remember you. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very important in those three interviews. We just want to remember you because we don't. You're a stranger. We don't know you. And I always say to
Yeah.
my clients that I coach for interviews, P, when you are in an interview, imagine yourself in a braai. You are
Yeah.
invited at a braai, social space. You often meet new people at a braai. And they often ask you what you do, don't they? They
Mm.
do.
Yeah,
And
they
you
do.
innocently say what you do, you know?
Mm.
And oftentimes you walk away thinking, oh my Lord, I presented myself very well there. That was nice to hear as I was saying it. The same context in an interview is just that because it's assessed, it's observed, it's measured, it's controlled, it
Mm.
triggers your anxiety. But it's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's strangers that are wanting to get to know who you are. That's all.
Yeah, that's all.
That's
Oh,
all.
I love that. I love what you're saying, especially when we talk to women. What
Mm.
I find mostly is women are shy to talk about themselves. They
Yeah.
are shy to express their superpower, as you put it, and they are often too conforming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today, I was giving a talk at one organization, and we were talking about finding your authentic leadership uh, power. And one of the things that we really spoke about is women who are working in the male dominating sector, how they shrink themselves and
So
how they
sad.
sometimes are not able to express their abilities, their powers, their strengths because they always believe they are not good enough. Whether they're being intimidated by men, I don't know, but they definitely need help. So,
Yeah.
coaching,
Yeah.
can coaching assist people who haven't found the ability to express themselves and to own their power and to not be apologetic about it?
Sure. That is the gift that being coached gives us, right? So, as you would know, I'm about to release a coaching journal, right? And that's our first
Mm,
theme. That's our first theme. Who am I? So,
mm,
independent of my name, independent of the title, independent of the roles I play, mother, daughter, sis, independent of that, if you were to rip me off
mhm,
of all of those things, who's the being? Who am I?
mhm,
You know?
mhm.
And so it's critical. Coaching helps, that's the first thing it helps you with. And people are found in our industry, P, that people they explain themselves using trauma language.
Yeah.
What is this? What you get? I get angry very easily. That's trauma. That's not you. That's your reaction to
Ah,
external stimuli. That's not
yeah, it's a
you.
coping
It's a
mechanism.
coping mechanism. So let's assume we delete the coping mechanism. Who's the human being?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so we
yeah.
want people who are going to say, I'm an analytical thinker. I am very perceptive. I am authentic in this and that way. I can discern. I have an ability to smell when things are going right or wrong. So you can be
Mhm.
trusted in innovative conversation, in brainstorming
Yeah,
conversation, because we
yeah,
understand your superpowers as a human being, not your trauma
yeah,
responses that you've made your attributes.
yeah,
So coaching
yeah.
helps you to kind of
Trauma.
separate the two. Separate the
Mm-hmm.
two. No shame. These are my traumas. I am angry easily. I am triggered by everything. I can't trust myself. I get easily overwhelmed and intimidated because I shrink to nothingness and not enoughness and unworthiness. Those are trauma responses. That's not you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
therefore, coaching helps you to heal those elements of you so that you can clean up that space so that the true self can kind of surface.
Talking
Then
about
that's
trauma,
the one we want.
I had an incident, or should I call it an incident or what? But of we are talking with a friend, and you know how busy we are. I mean, you and I don't know how many times we blue tick each other, and then we go do thing, and then later you respond. So
Yes.
I sent a message to a friend, and she took about 3 hours to respond. By the time she responded, that thing that I needed wasn't relevant anymore. The only thing then, because I was typing quickly, I had to go into a meeting. I said, no, never mind. And
Triggered.
then she took offense over never mind. And then I'm sitting there thinking, why would never mind offend you?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Why would a word
A word, never mind.
you see,
Now
so
I have
that's
to explain
where,
myself, and I'm thinking, often in a setting of a relationship, I think you and I, we have found it that we could start off talking friendly, and then immediately we jump into coaching and
yeah,
coaching each other.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
when somebody doesn't understand that, you always have to be mindful of not
yeah,
jumping into coaching when you speak to a friend. I
yeah,
just had to
absolutely,
acknowledge and say,
absolutely.
oh, sorry, I didn't realize that those words would trigger you. I didn't intend them badly. And I didn't go, why is it triggering you? Well, maybe you need help.
Then you were going to be offensive. We are going to be very offensive. So that's another thing that coaching helps you with, P.
Mm,
Um, we as human beings, is my view, we have been held ransom by the definitions we've given to words. You know,
yes,
so
yes.
I've had, so now you see, I'm sorted, noted, and so on. People put meaning to that that has nothing
Mm,
to do with what you meant to say. And that's because
mm,
subconsciously, someone who used to dismiss them, someone who used to verbally, emotionally, and otherwise abuse them, borrowed from
mm.
that vocabulary. And now, because
Yeah.
they are having a conversation with you and you borrow from those words, you've triggered a subconscious memory.
Oh, badly.
Now you
And
have to
and it
deal with somebody else's scar was caused by somebody else that has
yeah,
nothing to do with you because someone has
yeah,
healed from it.
yeah. So now how do we navigate that at workplace? Because this incident can easily happen between you and your upline manager,
Yeah. So
where she
absolutely.
sees it or deems it as disrespectful
Yeah.
for you to have said never mind, whereby then she sees you as a person who's not professional enough.
Yeah. It's very interesting because today I had a conversation with a potential client, right? And she said to me, what does self awareness have to do with me being a leader? And I said, it has everything to do with it because
Mm,
you constantly have to check yourself first. Check yourself,
mm,
you know? So if it so happens that someone uses a word that triggers
mm,
you, it's a
mm,
beautiful moment for you to stop,
mm,
not to fight, not to attack, to stop and say, why is noted triggering me? Why
mm,
is it word? And you separate it from you so you can look at it objectively. You see? So that's
mm,
what coaching has to do. So you're gonna say, okay, I'm this noted, or Uzianda sent an email and it had a bold word in it and a capital
mm,
letter word in it, you know? And here you
mm,
are thinking Zianda is shouting, but you don't factually know whether she was shouting or not. Factually, you don't know
mm,
that. But you are
mm,
allowing the word to actually kind of perturb you unnecessarily. So you look at it and like,
mm,
okay, fine, I can feel I'm triggered. What could
mm,
this trigger be trying to teach me or heal me from? So, what
mm.
is the lesson for me to learn here? It means there is some stage in my life where this word was used against me.
Yeah,
All right. By
yeah,
whom? Where? Why? How? You know? Then I visit that memory in my mind.
yeah,
Then I must
yeah,
separate the issues. Oh, it was that bullying manager of mine when I was starting out in my career, and she made me shrink to nothing when she used this word.
yeah.
Now it allows me to look at Puseleto independent of this archived
Mm,
memory. Then I
mm,
can go to
mm,
Puse and say, my friend, I'm still working on myself. The word noted triggers me to hell and back. Might
mm,
we please just maybe use a different until I heal from it? Please, it's a
mm,
request. Now, can you see
mm.
it won't erode any relationship, but it will help somebody else to understand me better.
Yeah,
This is what
definitely.
we mean then when we say we shouldn't be bleeding on people who didn't cut us. That's what this exactly
Yeah,
means. And coaching
yeah,
helps you with that.
definitely. And I think one thing to be mindful of, that people what triggers you might not be what triggers the other person,
Exactly.
and what traumatized you might not be an experience of the other person. So we both can receive the same message and embrace it differently.
Yeah.
And when you feel triggered, remember it's your thing.
It's
And when
yours.
it's your thing,
Yours.
communicate it so that it doesn't keep on happening and people get to know things that you do not appreciate. And that goes back
Yes.
to that ability to know yourself
Yeah.
and to be able to use your superpower.
Yeah.
And your superpower can be recognized from moments of reflection and moments of working on yourself and healing those traumas that in
Absolutely.
the past you were sensitive to certain behavior at workplace, but now when it happens it doesn't do much because
Yeah.
you have actually dealt with yourself.
Absolutely. And you see, it now gives you an understanding of what else in you needs help. What else in
Yeah.
you needs healing. So if I meet my coach thereafter, if I meet my therapist thereafter, I'm gonna say, it looks like I have not healed from an experience I've had 10 years ago with a manager who abused me. Can you please revisit that because I need to heal from it? Now it
Yeah.
gives me a theme to work on to help myself heal because when I heal, I step up, I evolve. I evolve.
Yeah.
So it's very important for us to be in control of ourselves by paying attention to what we think and what we feel.
Thank you so much, Z. Z, I just want to ask you, most people go for interviews and they're looking for job opportunities. And they always say sometimes if when you look for a new job opportunities, you need to also understand the culture of the organization that you will be working on. But thirdly, I also say look at growth opportunities that that organization is going to offer you. So now in my preparation to getting this new job, what
Mm.
kind of uh, questions I should ask during the interview that will inform me whether I am belonging and whether I will definitely grow and it is aligned to my values and my growth plan.
Cool, interesting. So, wow, and all of that you might or might not get in an interview because I know as interviewers we don't give everything out, right?
Mm,
You might not get it depending on how open-minded your line manager who's gonna be sitting in front of you is, right? Or is, right? So for
mm,
me, if I was to look back at it now that I know what I know now, I would want to know what is the lived culture in the team I'm about to join. Because I now know that there will be the over-encompassing culture that the organization tries to drive. There's gonna be the departmental or business unit culture. But you find that there's also a subculture within the team itself, you know. So I
mm,
want to know: are we collaborative? Are we a fun-loving team? Are we there for each other? Are we silo mentality? What is the thing that I'm going to be dealing with within the culture of the team itself? All right, because
mm,
there are subcultures, we can't run away from that. Because then I want to know which of my values are going to be compromised, which suggests that everyone must have their own personal values, right? So, which of my
mm,
values are going to be compromised in this team so I can make an informed decision that as I
mm,
accept the role, I'm also accepting that deficiency.
yeah,
So that would be one because that does a lot for your mental health. There are
it
people
does.
who really struggle in silo mentality teams and departments because they are
Yeah.
relationship type of people, you know? So they feel stifled, they don't feel alive in those situations. And so you need to know upfront, will you be okay mentally? That's a gift as well. That's a benefit as well. You don't want to go
Mm,
to work dreading it and coming out of work
mm,
like you've had a fight with a lot of lions there every day.
mm,
You don't want that. That's not good for you.
mm.
So
Where
that
you're
for
not
me is an
thriving.
untangible. Yeah, it's not a tangible benefit, but it's a very
Mm.
crucial. All right. And so
Fundamental.
absolutely, because when work unhinges you, you unhinge home, which
Yeah.
therefore means when you've got no peace of mind anywhere,
Mm,
which therefore means your mental health is delicate. It's actually fragile and it's not okay, you know. So
mm,
as far as I'm concerned, nowadays and age, that's beneficial, you know. Also,
mm,
guys, as people, we know our own issues. You've
Yeah.
got physical issues, you've got mental issues, you've got psychological issues, you've got emotional issues, whatever the case is. You want to know the environment you are about to be part of does it have solutions for those? Does it have
Mm,
services that will help you maintain your peace of mind mentally? Does it have it?
mm,
Does it offer? And a lot of companies have eye cares. You need to know that, especially if you're already diagnosed with stuff. Only you would
mm,
know that. So I don't think we
definitely.
actually look at those things as benefits, but they are. Because the company
There
pays
are.
for them on your behalf.
In
So
fact,
they
they
are the
come from your
intangible stuff.
salary indirectly.
Aha. Okay, we can't get into that. God.
Oh,
Yes.
there's
So that's
so
another
many
one for
things
me.
that I want to ask you. There are so many things. Time flew so quickly, hey?
I
You
know.
won't
I know.
believe we only have 10 minutes to go. But I just want us, especially because I was triggered by something, two things actually. One, let's start with the one on TikTok. During the week, as I was going through TikTok, I see this lady. She's a Christian and she is talking about how she doesn't believe on doing the inner child healing
Okay.
because the Bible says we are healed and we need to just move forward and focus in the future and stop dwelling in the past.
Hmm.
As a coach and as a person who's doing shadow work with people, because you do a lot of shadow work with people, why? How would you respond to that? Because the reason I'm bringing it, especially in the context of what we are talking about, we are saying we carry a lot of trauma and baggage at workplace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting because also the Christian persona does arrive at work as well. So
Yeah.
that part of that person that it becomes part of work. So what how can I put this? Now I'm gonna touch on spirituality, right? Not even religion. So now that I know now what I know now spiritually, P, I've realized that if what I'm sharing with you does not resonate with you yet, that's okay.
Mm. Yeah.
That's okay. It's a journey you
Yeah.
must go through. Even
Mm.
if Sam, I feel sorry for you because you're gonna struggle before you see the light, you must go through
Mm.
that. It's for your own growth.
Mm.
You know? So I
Mm.
no longer personally as a coach, and you would know this, we get taught about this to be non-judgmental, right? So as
Mm.
a coach, I would not be attached to that view. I wouldn't be attached to their disconnection or disassociation to inner child because it is none of my business what they resonate with. All I
Mm.
can do is to share an insight. If it makes sense, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You see? And you would find that
Mm.
person in 2 years, 5 years' time from now coming back to you and saying you were right. So you have to allow them space to be wrong, to be right, to fall, to cry, and then come back. But when
Yeah.
they come back, you must still have compassion to handle them with kindness and love and compassion.
True, but for somebody who might have come across that kind of content and then they started believing, oh, then I might have been wrong to work with my coach when it comes to inner child healing or shadow work. How can you help them understand it differently?
So again, if you have a propensity or a tendency to make other people's journey in life yours, you must still go back to your self-awareness conversations then. You
Mm,
know, it tells me as that person that I need to go back to P. I need to tell her that I haven't done enough work on my self-awareness work. Because clarity
mm,
on identity doesn't allow me to borrow whatever that you're going through. So as you
mm,
know, me and you have gone through stuff, and I don't remember you crying on my behalf or being sadder than me because you understood I needed to be in the dark phase of my soul for me to cross over the bridge. You see?
mm,
So it is
mm,
because your sense of identity and awareness is crystallized, it's so clear, your inner knowing is so clear that you didn't borrow from my struggle. You understood why I needed to go through it, and therefore you left me to
mm,
it. You didn't make it your stuff.
mm,
So if someone that is being coached has a tendency of making other people's issues their issues, go back to self-awareness
mm,
conversations.
mm. Okay. Lovely. And the second thing, as I said, there were a lot. There's been a lot this week. Just today, I
Yeah.
had I was giving a talk at one organization this morning, and afterwards I was so exhausted and just needed that break. So I went through Netflix and I watched a movie. Haven't finished it. It's still halfway because here I am now. So as I'm watching the movie, I'm starting to cry.
Love it.
I'm like, and then I'm thinking, why am I
Wow.
crying? Why is the story of this guy touching me so much? Now I started doing the work on me to say, why am I crying so much? And only to realize, and it came as I was driving to drop my daughter to come here to have a meeting with you, that when I was young, I was wrongly accused of taking money that I never took. And it sat with me because my cousins, everybody started labeling me as a thief. I got
Mm.
older. I rented a working space. When I left, the landlord accused me of stealing the aircon. I didn't take it. It triggered me. When I was at home, I went as a teenager. My mom, I used to steal the phone key to phone a boyfriend, but I never took money. But she accused me of taking the phone key and money,
Okay.
and I have never proven myself. So now this movie is of a guy who is was wrongly accused. From 16 years, he lost his life being in jail for being
I
accused of
watched
rape.
that movie. I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then it just surfaced that. So now, what happens to us at workplace when certain behavior of our leaders or environment around us start surfacing certain things that we thought we dealt with? How can you
Ah.
advise an employee to now deal with that?
Okay, firstly, your employee must buy my self coaching journal so that they can
Yeah.
transition on the daily basis. But I want to say to you, this is amazing how you concluding this conversation. Because when we started the conversation, we said there is nothing that we teach that we don't get tested on.
Mm,
And as we teach it, we get
mm,
the test first. If we fail, then we have to work through that. If we pass, we're like,
mm,
okay, God, we are on it, you know?
mm,
So
mm,
now
mm.
you are telling me about a movie that triggered an inner child in that adult you were watching in the movie,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then a subconscious memory of your inner child
Mm,
surfaced,
the face.
and aha, and you had to take it backwards to move forward with it. Can you see
Yeah,
that you are now articulating the formula of deep self reflection? That's what you've just
yeah,
done now. You see,
yeah.
so when I was this age, this happened. When I was this age, this happened. This age, this happened. This is what I
Mm,
call GPS. Locate yourself. GPS yourself.
mm,
Why am
mm,
I crying? Be curious about you and the things that are
mm,
going on within you so that you
mm,
can continuously evolve. That's the only way life gets interesting, right? So, what you've just
mm,
articulated now is how to deeply reflect when a trigger and from an
mm,
external stimuli is in front of you.
mm,
So the external
mm,
stimuli was the movie. It touched the inner child in you. The inner child needed healing from that. It then took you
yeah.
backwards in terms of memory and then brought you forward again.
Mm,
And then you have
mm,
to say, oh my Lord, so I am processing that pain now. So I'm processing
yeah,
it. So my tears is a processing of it, which means I'm now healing from it. Now, can you
yeah,
see also gives you a practical example, you now as the coach of inner child, for others to
mm,
understand how it shows up in behavior. So I
yeah,
would say the same thing for the employee. Stop when you are triggered by anything, stop and go inward. Don't go outward,
mm,
go inward. Your answers are
yeah,
inside when you're triggered. Exactly the
yeah.
formula that was just explained.
Definitely. And I
Mm.
think one thing I need to bring, especially when we look at the different types of therapy that we can do, in my case, it doesn't end with the awareness. I need
Uh-huh.
to now start doing the process of healing again,
Yes.
because now it has even brought different episodes that came to play before me of when that happened. So
Yes.
now in neuro linguistic practice, we have a therapy called the timeline,
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah, yeah.
we have to get people on their timeline of those
Yeah.
episodes as they happen. We visit them from
Yeah.
that inner child perspective, so that we can heal them and go to them and confront them. And
Absolutely.
we keep on rising to a point that we get to the point where when we look back to our timeline, there isn't anything that pains us when we look at.
Exactly.
And we
Exactly.
know that then I've healed, because I can now
Yes.
look at this situation, but it doesn't make me emotional. And
Yes.
then we can receive this golden glow that comes and
Ex-
wash us off from
Exactly.
all these things that has been holding us. For me, that movie was therapeutic, because
Yeah.
it means it opened me up for an opportunity to come that could probably maybe be accused of something that I didn't do, then it could have taken me back to that corner.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it is preparing me for the next phase where God
Mm.
is preparing me for. It
Yeah.
nothing ever comes by mistake, Z. Nothing ever
Synchronicity,
happens
honey,
by
synchronicity. Which is the beautiful thing about being conscious as a human being is that the things just tie in together in ways that you can never explain, but they are all for you. Life happens for you, not against you.
yes. Ah, man, this was amazing. This was amazing. We had a great time. We always have a great time
I
talking. If
know.
only people can visit and be the flies in in the wall when we are together. So thank you so much for this moment. What would you like to say in closing? Because you are talking about your journal, you are
Yeah,
talking about your coaching. Can you share with us? Because some of the people who will come across this video might want to know, how do we get hold of Z and how can she
yeah,
assist us in our journey? So please tell us
yeah.
a little bit about your services.
All right. So, guys, apart from being a coach, I'm a coach. I'm about to release a self coaching journal. And the real reason behind the coaching journal is that coaching, as we all know, is a bit steep for the public. As you would know, P, we mostly sell it through organizations because of how specialized it is. So the journal allows you to self coach. Just 300 rands a copy. You can self coach. You can meet me once a quarter to just run through what you're going through. But it helps you to continuously heal with or without a physical coach in front of you. So
Mhm.
that's one. But also I do coaching for organizations. So that journal is mostly for public, just to give them access to the help. But otherwise, I do executive or leadership coaching or mindset coaching for organizations and women empowerment programs and all of those type of things, and also males as well, by the way. And I'm also
Mhm.
a facilitator, we facilitate workshops and so on. And I also do public speaking, and I love controversial topics. So you find me at info@ziandam.co.za if you want to inquire about any of our services. Ziandam.co.za if you want to check out our website. I'm Zianda Mazamisa or Zianda M on Facebook. I'm Zianda Mazamisa, Zianda MM on Instagram. And I'm Mindset Badass on TikTok.
Thank you, Z. And we had one active person. There are people who
I
are
can see.
viewing this interview from different platforms. We are live on Instagram, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. But Matepo was the star of the
She
day.
is.
And
She
because of
is.
that, Z, I would like to book her one session with you. Mind Retirement Institute will pay for that one session just for
Cool.
her to come and maybe share more based on what she was asking earlier. Would you accept
Absolutely.
that? Is
I
that
accept
okay?
that, and I will give her the journal for free for those so that she can follow through for the next 6 months and to help herself.
Hey, see, we're making a difference. We're making a difference. Matsapo, congratulations. You're getting yourself a coaching session with Zianda, and she's offering you her free coaching journal. In fact, you haven't said how much it costs for those who would like to buy. Do you have the prices out yet?
Three is 300 rands. 300 rands. So you send your
Ah,
request for the coaching journal on info@ziandam.co.za and name, address. We can courier it to you after you've paid.
lovely. It was such a pleasure having you here.
Same
I
here, my
hope
friend.
you are not going to be a stranger to our platform. We hope
Not a-
to invite you back into the space.
We
Thank you
should.
so much.
We should.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you,
really
guys.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Have a great evening, everybody. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Good night.
Bye.